This here was the starting line. They came in from the beach down there, made their way in here, and they went straight up. You can see that it's a kidney-shaped feature. There's that mound on the right and another one on the left. They moved up dead center. One platoon got lost going too far to the right. They had to be called back, but that was the axis of advance. You can see how steep it is. Imagine it being dark and raining. Climbed up here again this morning. This is just to get this shot. This is where they went over the top. They were okay till they reached that point. As soon as they went over, they were hit with everything. You can see the ground. Imagine it's still dark and wet. All these rocks were wet. They were quiet up to this point. Then the Germans were onto them. Here you can get a better idea of how steep it was. That's what's left right up the top. And that's where I come down from, that road down there. That was the starting point. Making your way through here. It's the same as it was in 1945. Would have been very tough going up, keeping your eye up the top, trying not to slip. It's tough going now when it's dry, early morning. This is the top of the ridge. This is around the exact point where they went over the top. This is what I wanted to see this morning. This is the actual trench, the first line of defense for the Germans. When the Assyrians came up from the bottom, you can see the road down the bottom. This is the first trench they hit. They were being fired on from here. Before, they had to get past this trench to go over that point up there. They were led by number 2 Assyrian platoon in an arrowhead formation spread over this area here. This is the first trench they hit. You can see this has been it's been hit by a shell. This is where the paratroopers said they didn't see the first trench, and some of them fell right inside it. And you can see them firing down at the Assyrians coming up the steep hill. That road down there, it's pretty much near where they started up from. You can see these trenches, they zigzag all the way down, and down the bottom, zigzag again to the right and to the left, all the way down to the first line of defense, the first trench that we saw down the bottom. Here you can get a better idea of how steep it was. That's what's left right at the top. And that's where I come down from, that road down there. That was the starting point. See if, I don't know if you see very clearly, but these trenches go down here and they zigzag all the way down to the first trench that we saw down the bottom. This is what they had to climb up. As you can see, it's very steep. It still drops down further just on the ridge there. A very steep drop. They climbed up through here. They went across the front here and started engaging the Germans around here. But they were being fired on from these trenches and from mortars further back. This here is one of the German trenches. The Assyrians came up this hill from down the bottom. You can see how steep it is. I haven't gone to the edge yet, and it's pretty rough going. As you can see, the monastery is just over that fence on the other side. That was the German headquarters. This was a tough fight going over this hill. You can see at the monastery it was very hard to make them surrender, force them to surrender. So they ended up in hand to hand until finally the rest of them surrendered. They came over this spot as I'm going now. And that's the monastery there. Here they were shelled by the Germans. They were shelled by the British Navy because they didn't know they'd taken the hill. And they were hit by the RAF as well because they didn't know the hill was taken. They came up this hill. It was almost dawn and it was raining slightly. These rocks were very slippery. They had to make their way up to point 264, which was the that point over there just above that ridge. That's a monastery. Well, I made it to the top. I said I would do this in their honour. All the way from down the bottom. It was rough going for the paratroopers. Now to go back down again. This was the monastery. They had a bit of hand-to-hand fighting here. Not much left of it, it's been bombed. A gun position when they just before the ruins. From these gun positions, pretty good gun positions, they were firing at the Assyrians from over that hill down the other side. So they've got some pretty good positions overlooking the mountain on the other side. This area was all shelled by the Royal Navy. The recognition patrol, when it was shot up, took this route down here to make their way down to Sarande, which was down the bottom. There was nothing much up this way, so they made their way down there, and just over that ridge they were shot up by the commandos. This is the location as they rounded this wall to the right, heading towards Fork Road, which is 50 meters ahead. This is where they were ambushed. Sergeant Homer Shekhana believes it was a party of partisans, Albanian partisans. They stayed here, of course, till the next morning, until they were found by the commandos and picked up, taken to the hospital ships.